everybody. Hope everyone's having a great day. Hope we're all rested after reading week, ready to tackle those midterms and exams. For those that don't know me, my name's Chloe. I'm the clubs manager. It's nice to see you all again. And if you just got elected into the executive position, congratulations, and it's very nice to meet you. So we'll start with the land acknowledgement. So the Brock University Students' Union is situated on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples. The territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. All right. Now, agenda. So we'll be doing a little introduction. I'll do a little welcome. We'll discuss the video recap. For those that don't know, I sent out an email, actually sent it twice, just asking that folks who are attending tonight review the video prior to coming. And it was just me presenting all the really nitty-gritty stuff that you need to know, but it's not really useful for me to just stand here and talk to you for 2 hours. So if you didn't watch that, it's okay. I'll do a quick recap about it, but I do recommend you go view it, just so you know the really finite details. There'll be a recap quiz regarding that video. We'll be discussing the club exec transition document, what to expect from myself, you folks, that sort of thing. We're going to be talking about fundraising, because that's becoming really popular these days, and folks are doing a really good job fundraising. We have our events manager coming to discuss event planning, because obviously within clubs, you folks host a lot of events, and she's an absolute master at it, so she'll help you. And then we'll do a quiz. Sound good? Perfect. Okay, so again, hi, I'm Chloe. I'm the clubs manager. My email is clubsmgr@brockboosu.ca. I also have one that is cvillers, it's my last name, @brockboosu.ca. Next is the club administrator. That is Jamie. Jamie is the club's administrator. He is also a full-time staff member. Yes, he looks like a student. He did just graduate. He is a full-time staff member along with myself. We are the club's team. We have a part-time student staff. Right now her name's Tatiana, and she's the club's coordinator. She's the person you go to for all of your quick questions that you have. And then Jamie and I answer the ones that are more in depth. Tatiana is also the one that prints your posters. She processes your room bookings, so she's a really good person to know. And then next we have the Vice President of Student Services, and that's Shania. Everyone say hi, Shania. She's going to wave at you from the DJ booth. Shania does a great job as well, helping to support the club's team also. All right, so again, just welcome to the 2025 Club Summit training. I'm really excited for this upcoming academic year. For those that don't know, I've been in this role for about 2 years. For those that have been here a while, they'll tell you I've made a lot of change, and I feel like it's really good change, and we're really starting to make really good progress and have a lot of clubs. It runs seamlessly, it runs smoothly. So it's been really, really good, and I really love working with all you folks and getting to know you and what you do in your clubs and just seeing the overall awesome work that you do, because you do a lot of work. So, yeah. All right, so we'll just go over the video recap. This is just kind of the key points. There's a couple slides that I went through in that video. So first is the BOOSU website. It is different from Experience BU. We at BOOSU do have our own website. We're going to go over Policy 500 and Policy 501 clubs funding, because it is very important to know, and you'll constantly hear me quoting it, and I constantly reference it. Different club perks. So what club perks are offered for you? Room and table bookings, how that works, because sometimes, quite frankly, it's clear as mud. So we'll go through that. There was a session on this yesterday, but I'll just quickly touch base on it because it's super important. Risk management / student event risk management and approval, aka SIRMA. I'll also go over event time frames because that's really important for you folks to know. Like, I book a room, how far in advance do I have to CIRMA, etc. Okay, so the Busuu website. Truly, the Busuu website is your first stop to learn about all things clubs. And the website contains information on the club directory. So all of the 141 clubs that we currently have ratified, they're all listed there. And each club page lists the club's description, it has their logo, the various social medias that you folks have. If you folks have a Discord server, you click that link. Just how folks can contact you. The club toolbox, that is going to become your best friend. That has everything you folks need to know. It has documents that you need to reference. There's templates that you folks can use, such as a budget template and a presentation template when you apply for funding. There's various forms, so you want to get posters printed. There's a form that you complete. You want a table in Mackenzie Chown. There's a form that you complete, as well as all the policies there that I mentioned previously. And there's also information about accessing club perks. So while I love answering every single email that comes into my inbox, I will say about 45% of them can easily be found in the club toolbox. It's as simple as going under the club toolbox, clicking Control F, and typing in the keyword that you're trying to find. If you still have a question, feel free to email me, but please have the club toolbox be your first stop to what you do. Especially in September, the club's team and I are swamped, and we try our best to get back to you within 1 to 3 business days, but our hours are flexed, there's a lot going on, so please just try to look at the toolbox as best you can. I actually had a student reach out to me, and she was from Relay for Life. She kind of got thrown into the president position in the summer, didn't really know anything about Busuu or clubs. She let me know in December that all she did was read the website and watch the videos, and this girl is like on top of it, knows what's going on. She's good. And then there's also information about starting a new club. Obviously, this doesn't pertain to you folks unless you do want to start another club, but there is a step-by-step process and how to follow that. Okay, so the Clubs 500 policy is your rule book on all things clubs. All clubs must review and be familiar with the policies outlined in this document. And the policy is available on the Busuu website in that club toolbox that I mentioned, and it must be reviewed prior to ratification. So I understand that when you re-ratify the club, which re-ratification is happening from March 3rd to March 23rd, more information can be found on the Busuu website and the form to complete that. All right, so everyone's favorite topic is club funding. So we decided to make a whole new policy on it because it's truly a beast within itself. And this is truly the process and rules surrounding club funding. Please, 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 please read this document. There is a lot of vital information in there that you need to know. And the biggest one I'll tell you is if you apply for club funding and you don't get an approval, yet you go have your event, and then you come at us and say, hey, Jamie or Chloe, we just had this $1,000 event and we spent money, but we didn't get approval for it. Can we get reimbursed? It's not going to happen. You're not going to get reimbursed. You have to make sure that when you apply for club funding, you wait for that approval email from Jamie before you start spending money. Sound good? Makes my heart break when folks just don't understand or haven't read that policy, and then they come to us saying, well, I'm out $1,000. It's like, I cannot do anything. We are bound to this policy. So please don't spend the money unless you have the approval. If, for example, let's say your club was given $3,000 for these 7 events that you want to host, but you only ended up hosting 6 events because one of them was canceled due to the snow that we just had last week, let's say, but you don't know what to do with that money. You can email Jamie, and you can say, hey, Jamie, I'm from the book club, and I'm really hoping to reallocate this money towards an end-of-the-year book party. We're hoping to spend $100 on pizza, $20 on pop. We want Costco cookies and cupcakes. This is what everything costs. This is how much funding we have left over. This is what everything's going to cost. Do you approve that? Then Jamie, because he's so nice, 9 times out of 10 will come back saying, yep, no problem. Thank you for letting me know, and we're good to go. But if you just decide to reallocate the club funding without telling us, we have to email you, and then we say, hey, you got to reimburse it because you didn't get approval. That's a whole process. So please make sure you read that policy. Those two things are a common theme that we constantly see, and we probably see it about 5 to 10 times a week. So let's reduce that statistic for next year and just not have it. Please and thank you. Okay, so club perks. Club perks are services that BUSU provides to student clubs to truly elevate your experience. Again, they're not mandatory that you have to take advantage of it, but I highly encourage it because they're pretty cool. So we have funding, we have print and design. Jamie is really good at what he does, and he designs beautiful posters and banners. So if you're a smaller club, or even if you're a bigger club, and you don't exactly have someone who's really graphic design savvy, but you want a really awesome poster for your upcoming event, you want an awesome poster just about your club in general, or you really want a banner, Jamie will design you one. So there is a form on the website where you can actually get a poster or banner designed. You folks each get a locker free of charge where you can store your club stuff, whether it be a banner, you have supplies left over from a party, etc. And also Brock TV is a really big one. A lot of folks are taking advantage of it this year, and I really hope it continues next year. Brock TV, who's actually filming this right now, and we love Brock TV, will actually come to an event that you want or a meeting that you want and do a free promo video for you. So it's literally free promo, and it's a very well done, professionally edited video. A lot more folks are taking advantage of it this year. It's a really great perk. There is a form on the website that you complete. Just be sure to do that ahead of time, so they obviously are very busy, so they have time to plan and can come to your event and film, and then you'll get a beautiful video. All right, next, room bookings. I truly apologize, folks. We try to make this really clear, but it's tricky sometimes with BUSU and Brock Space. So there's different forms on the website of different spaces that you can book. So one of the spaces that you can book is the clubhouse. If you have no idea where that is, right beside Scotiabank, it's Thistle 252A, that's the clubhouse. You folks can go in there to have your meetings if you just want chill space. I highly recommend jotting this point down. No one uses that space during exam time. You want a really quiet study space, but the library's full and everywhere else is full on campus, go to the clubhouse. You don't have to book it. I mean, if there's another club in there who has booked it, it's theirs, but 9 times out of 10, that space is completely empty. So just go in there to quietly study. There's different specialty spaces like Pond Inlet. You folks can't book that on your own. We as a department have to book that on your behalf. So if you want to use Pond Inlet, there'll be a form for that. Also, something to note, I'm sure you all heard we're getting a beautiful new student center in the next few years. So this space is not going to be here next year. Don't worry, we will have alternative space for you folks, and I will be emailing you over the summer letting you know what's going on and what space is available to you. But this is no longer an option, which obviously means there's going to be a lot more requests than there already is for Pond Inlet, and it's already very difficult to get a space. So I highly recommend pre-planning with your club in the summer and making sure you can submit those bookings as soon as possible. I start emailing you the middle of July because that's when the bookings open up. You'll hear from me saying, hey folks, bookings are open, please complete this form, and then we just start booking everything on your behalf and sending you all the confirmations. There's Brock and BUSU tabling. So if you want to book like space like Mackenzie Chown, Thistle Eye, in front of the Fishbowl or the Computer Commons, that's a Brock tabling, and there's a form on the BUSU website to request to table. There's also BUSU tabling. If you want a table right outside Union Station, so just in front of that plaque wall, you can. There's a form for that. Something that was introduced a couple years ago that's a lot simpler for everybody is there's a campus portal, so you can self-book a lot of the rooms on campus, like a classroom or really a lot of rooms, just not specialty spaces like Pond Inlet. So you can just go in. I send instructions to you when you re-ratify, and you can book rooms. It's a pretty quick turnaround time. Obviously during peak times like September or January, it may be a little bit slower, but they're usually pretty fast. Just note, only the president and the vice president have access. You're welcome to email me saying, hey Chloe, our vice president doesn't do anything with room bookings. Can the events coordinator be in that slot? Or can the marketing person be in that slot? That's fine. I just am only allowed to put 2 people in per club. So off the bat, I'm going to make sure that the president and the vice president are in there, but halfway through the summer or halfway through the semester, if you're like, you know what, I really don't need to have the vice president in there, I'd rather have X, Y, and Z, let me know and I can switch it out. Okay, so I'll quickly go over risk management / CIRMA because we briefly touched on it, or it was discussed yesterday at length. Biggest thing you folks need to know is all clubs must risk manage, so CIRMA, their meeting and events through their club's Experience BU page. This is where Experience BU comes in. Just be sure to visit the BUSU website to learn more information about it. We have a pretty good breakdown about it. I'm also going to be doing a video recording of myself walking through. This is how you submit it if you're hosting a meeting. This is how you submit it if you're hosting an on-campus event. This is how you submit it if you're hosting a really big off-campus event, just to kind of ease the anxiety there. Biggest thing I can tell you is to submit all CIRMA requests 10 to 21 days prior to your event occurring. So the process looks like you submit it, I review it, I ask my questions. If I don't have any questions or my questions have been answered, I give it a thumbs up. That then goes to another department at Brock called Student Life and Success, and they can give it the final yes or no. It's just myself and another staff member. While we try our best to review it probably about twice a day, we get sick. We go on vacation. We, take a personal day. So if you're emailing me on a Friday afternoon and I'm off in the Bahamas on vacation, and you need that approved for Monday, it's not going to work. So just make sure to submit 10 to 21 days prior. And when I say prior to when you want to start promoting your event, because you cannot start promoting your event until you have approval. You can have a save the date, just say, hey folks, something really fun's coming up, be sure to save this date. You just can't give any details yet. So if you think about it, right now we're the end of February. If you need to CIRMA 10 to 21 days prior to when you want to start advertising, you pretty much had to have CIRMA submitted by like early, middle of January. So just kind of keep that in mind when you folks are planning for the academic year. I do try my best, like I said, to review it all the time, but with 141 clubs, it really adds up, especially in September. And I really can't do anything when you email me being like, Chloe, can you do me a solid and just approve that as soon as possible? Because if I do that for one club, I got to do it for the 140 others. I can't. So just be mindful of that. I'm not going to go over what risk management is because we talked about it yesterday. You folks also can quickly read it there. We'll just continue. Again, this is all about the CIRMA process. It's truly not us about controlling you. We just need to strike a balance between providing space for a meaningful, fun, engaging, and inclusive activities and ensuring that the potential for harm to students is low. We want you folks to have your events as much as you do. We just want to make sure you're doing it in a safe way. So just make sure, again, to CIRMA 10 to 21 days prior to when you want to start advertising your event. So be mindful of that. Something we can talk about is What are some risk factors with having an event or a meeting? So event space, are you having it on campus? Are you having it off campus? Are you having it outside? Is there alcohol present? Are there animals present? Are you going to bring therapy dogs onto campus? Is there transportation involved? Are you and a bunch of folks going to Mississauga to go attend the Lego event? Is that independent travel, or is that you organizing a bus and going? Is there a lottery? And no, I don't mean like you just won $1 million. It's as simple as you have a raffle. So everyone who attends your event gets entered into a raffle. That's technically considered a lottery. We do allow it. We just ask that you let us know that it's happening. Is your event accessible to everybody? That's something to really keep in mind. Are you bringing external speakers onto campus? Right now, the Creative Writing Club, so I'm going to plug them, is bringing an external speaker onto campus, and it's an author. Are you bringing in, a lot of the academic clubs bring in profs, or they bring in industry professionals? We need to know that. Are you having a large-scale event? We have several clubs who are about 500 to 600 people, so they have really big events. We need to make sure that that is risk managed correctly. Is there physical activity? I know some clubs, for example, the rock climbing club, they obviously go on courses and they climb rocks. There's a hiking club, they obviously go hiking, so that's physical activity. And then do you have any controversial content that's being discussed at your meetings or events? It's totally fine if that is. You're all welcome to have your opinion. We just need to know what's happening so it can be done in a safe way. Next is waivers. So depending on the type of event that you have, we sometimes ask you to sign waivers. So for example, if you are going on a bus and there's 40 people going on this bus, we just ask that someone is a bus monitor, because no one likes to get left behind. So that bus monitor is responsible for making sure everyone gets to and from the event safely. It's as simple as saying, I, Chloe Villers, you read the spiel, and then at the bottom, you sign it and you date it. It's super simple. That's one of the waivers. Another waiver is, are you going bowling at Parkway Social and folks are able to buy alcohol because they're of age? That's fine. Just don't get too rowdy. We just ask that there is someone there who is a monitor. You know, someone who's going to stay sober and make sure everyone gets home safely. There's also a waiver that's informed consent. So for example, if you're part of a hiking club and you're going on a hike to DQ Falls, we just ask that you sign an informed consent waiver, understanding that, yes, I'm going on a hike and I could get hurt, and you just sign off on that. Okay, so something to keep in mind is event timeframes. If you are planning an event for your club, please keep in mind event timeframes needed to use the services provided by Brock and Busu. So you're going to see a common theme. Minimum 10 to 21 business days in advance. A business day, for those that don't know, is Monday to Friday. I love my job and I love what I do. I don't work on weekends. I also don't work on long weekends. So if you're emailing me, let's say May long weekend, on a Monday, I have that day off. You will not hear from me. You'll get an out of office from me, but you will not hear from me until later in the week. So just make sure it's a business day. So something to keep in mind, CIRMA, room bookings, table bookings, event space, AV services, which is audiovisual services, is 10 to 21 business days. Please keep that in mind. If you're ordering any Brock or Busu catering, it's 21 business days. Poster printing is a minimum 5 to 7 business days. The club's coordinator is usually really great about speeding that along and making sure you get your posters within 1 business day. But again, we get super busy in September and there's 141 clubs. So just imagine how many people are asking for posters for all their events and meetings. So just be mindful. Next is everyone's favorite, the club's advisory committee club funding requests. So that's a minimum 10 to 21 business days in advance. Presentation availability is dependent on request volume. So if you ask for funding that is above $3,000, you have to present in front of the club's advisory committee. Who is the club's advisory committee, you ask? It's a group of students, because I truly think students should decide what happens with student money. So what happens is you go and present, and then they ask you questions, and then you leave the room, and then those folks decide how much money you should be given. Then Jamie is just the messenger and sends that email saying, hey, this is how much they approved, this is what they didn't approve, and you go from there. But obviously, there's 141 clubs, and I imagine there's going to be a lot more at the end of this ratification season who all want money. CAC only meets twice a week, and we only accept 2 presentations per meeting. So that's only 4 clubs getting seen per week, and there's 141 clubs. So just be mindful of that. Also, please read my email when I send out emails about having a Scotiabank account. Because let's say you ask for funding, and Jamie's like, hey, you have a Scotiabank account? Do you have your direct deposit form? You can say yes and yes. So when Jamie sends that approval email, you'll get your money within about 15 business days. So you're able to really hit the ground running and plan all your events, do all your meetings, and do all your fun stuff so you're not scrambling. Next, we're going to talk about transition document. So the club executive transition document, it asks simple questions like your club name, who are the outgoing executives, who are the incoming executives, your Scotiabank account number, when will we transfer over our club supplies and locker, when are we going to transfer over our club email, Experience BU, social media, other passwords. It also asks really key questions like, what worked this year? What event was really popular this year? What didn't work this year? I always like to say that clubs should be getting better and better each and every year, so it's really good to ask these questions. Ask about where we can make improvements and how we can implement said changes. We all make mistakes, I make mistakes. You will constantly hear me ask you, and please be brutally honest because I do appreciate it, what works and what doesn't work. I'm not personally attacking you. I'm not going to take it personally. It's just good to have these conversations of like, what improvements can we make? You can ask questions like, is the current club structure fitting for the club mandate? Clubs, like I said, should be getting better and better every single year. Just because your club did something 20 years ago doesn't mean you still need to be doing it. Change it. That's okay. It's always good to ask the outgoing executives for any advice, saying, hey, like, do you have any upcoming advice? Anything that they need to know about the club itself and club operations. So I would make sure to have these conversations with your outgoing executives before exam time hits and everything gets really, really busy. You owe it to yourself to make your life really, really simple, so just have these conversations early. Make sure to ask questions. If you're not sure what to ask, just email me. But this document outlines everything. I even made it super simple. I really like checklists, so I even made you a checklist of everything that you should have completed prior to the end of this academic year, so you can really just plan throughout the summer and then hit the ground running in September. So what to expect from the club's team and I? We do send out monthly newsletters, and I will say they actually are pretty well read. We have about an 85% viewership, which is really, really good. We make it super simple, and it's just events coming up, anything you need to know. It's very, very simple. It literally is like a one-page read. So just be sure to keep your eye out for that. I do erase all the outgoing executives in May and input everyone in May, but you obviously won't start hearing from us until September, so just be mindful of that newsletter. There's also Clubs Week. In October, we celebrate all the awesome clubs that we have here at BUSU, so there's a lot of events that are catered towards clubs, and we want to highlight you folks. We want to make sure that first years can find you, and we want to make sure folks who really want to find a community are able to find you. So keep your ears out for that, because I often send information about that in September. And we just really want to highlight you guys, because you guys do really awesome work, and we just want to make sure that people are seeing that and can join you. We also offer a lot of training seminars. I get it, it's a lot. You don't really know what's going on. So we make sure to offer things like CIRMA drop-in hours. So Carolyn, who's part of Student Life and Success, she's the other person that reviews the CIRMA requests after me. She actually hosts drop-in hours in the clubhouse in September for you folks to go in and ask questions. There's president's meeting in September and January, so that's where I ask all the presidents or another executive if they can't attend to come, and I just give you folks highlights, like this is what's new in the club's world, this is what to expect, etc. There's a lot of different training seminars. If you feel like you need one, and you're like, hey Chloe, can you have like a video or just a session on how to book a table or how to book a room? Just send me an email and I'm happy to do that. We currently have a survey out right now to all the executives, and I'm literally asking you to tell us what you think of everything going on with clubs. Do you like the banners? Do you like posters? Do you like funding? I know it's everyone's favorite question. I'm asking them to be brutally honest so we can help make it better for you folks for next year. So there probably is going to be a lot more training seminars just based on the feedback that we've received thus far. But I'll always inform you. They'll be on Experience BU. They'll be on the BUSU website. So just keep your ears out for that. Next, our Vice President of Student Services, Shania, is going to be discussing fundraising.
To start my part of it, it's pretty short. Where can we get money? So yes, BUSU does provide funding, but you guys need to understand that it's not where you 100% get your full funding on. So why you need funding is to obviously run all the events that you guys have, that you guys are planning for the next academic year. You're probably very excited. You're new, fresh execs having big plans, and for these big plans to work, you need funds. So when we go to the next slide, I'm just going to go through some examples of different clubs that have made use of different fundraising initiatives. It's just very short. So there's different alternatives. You can sell Krispy Kreme on campus. Shout out to Rock Musical Theatre right there. The Canadian Nursing Society and Brock Model UN. I know you guys sold a lot of donuts and got money for your different events. And also, the second is shout out to BFSA right there. They sold cookies for Valentine's. That's one fundraising alternative you have. You can also go to Boston Pizza. You email them and ask them if we can have a fundraiser. It's essentially Boston Pizza Dine for a Cause. So, and then there's Little Caesars Pizza Kit. And the Henna Club did a Henna fundraiser. You can sell popcorn. So there's plenty of ways to get funds. It'll simply be a very simple Google search, or you just go on ChatGPT and tell, these are the resources I have, what are my fundraising initiatives that I can do. So that's pretty much it from my side.
Just to kind of go off Shania's point of fundraising, she made a really good point. Club funding that you get from BUSU shouldn't be the only source of funds that you rely on. I completely understand as students, funds are tight, and I truly get that we're living in a cost of living crisis, so it's even harder than when I was a student here. But again, there's 141 clubs, and there's only so much funding. Just make sure and have an open mind to possibly fundraise or charge a ticket price, or come up with other alternatives. Club funding should truly be used as a supplemental grant. So when you're making your budget and you're making your presentation for next year, don't think, oh, just because I don't get this funding, I can't have the event. You can have the event, you just may have to scale it back a little bit, charge a ticket price, or fundraise. So just kind of keep an open mind, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so my name is Celine. I am the BUSU events manager. I actually started out at BUSU as a clubs manager, and now I'm in this role as that is my field of study. But Chloe and Jamie and Janai have done a fabulous job with clubs, more than I could have probably ever done in the role. So really proud of them, and I hope you guys are really utilizing the tools and resources that they've created for you. Events and clubs go hand in hand. Many of you probably wanted to join clubs or start a club to make connections with like-minded people, exploring interests outside of academics, or maybe within academics as well. Events pretty much do the same thing. They bring people together to celebrate, try new things, and make memories. So I'm gonna see if I can try to see out into the crowd here. Who here feels overwhelmed thinking about planning an event? Okay, I see a few hands. It's okay. I don't expect everyone to be an event planner, because if you were, I would be out of a job. Okay, so, oh, no laughs. Okay, this is not a comedy club. I get it. Okay, who here feels confident planning an event? Okay, we got some hands up there. Yeah, wonderful. I know when I first started in events, I always had the idea, like I knew I wanted this end product, but then the question was, how do I get there? Like all the pre-planning, who do I talk to? So we're gonna kind of go over some resources about that. And if you have any questions, please put your hand up. Okay, so priority number 1, using a calendar to plan out what dates to host events. So a lot of people always think of the event first before and try to book everything without realizing like what time of year is it. And so if you think about the most engaging events, you want to make sure it's timed with the times in the semester where maybe it's not exam season, or maybe it's not right before reading week. And also it has to make sense for your team. Working in events for, I think now 7 years, you need a lot of people to run events. And so that's why there's at least 3 of you on your executive teams. So it also has to make sense for your team's schedule. So the earlier you plan, the easier it is to also secure room bookings. Because as you probably all have noticed, it is very hard to secure a room, because outside of clubs, there's also academics, athletics, and all the other departments that exist at Brock who are also trying to run events. So the earlier you plan, the better. And I find it the easiest to just look at the 8-month calendar from September to April and pinpoint times of the year that you want to host events. Number 2, reach out to inquire about bookings and vendors. So for example, venues, athletic coaches, 5K runs in this scenario specifically, especially if they cost money. So reaching out to places or people you want to collaborate with and just ask, hey, I want to host this event as a hypothetical. How much would it cost our club to run this? And it costs absolutely 0 money to ask for a quote. If that gives you guys a better idea of how much you potentially need to request or how much you need to charge members for membership fees. So doing your research in advance, having your team help you out, will help you a lot when it comes to creating your budget, which is the number 3, creating your budget. Now that you have all this information, you got to put it into an Excel sheet. I mean, you probably could do it by hand, but who has time in a calculator, honestly? Using the quotes you gathered, create the budget, research cost of event supplies, so snacks, prizes, decor. This will all help in your funding presentation to CAC. And then, most important, always factor in tax. The amount of times I saw people present a budget and they're like, we don't have money. We forgot we owe taxes. So make sure you guys put it in. Number 4, request for CAC funding or create a plan to fund all of your events. So membership fees, fundraising. If you guys want to host an event and it costs money, where is that coming from? That's all things you need to figure out before you go to the next couple of steps, which I'll go over right now. Secure your funding, so via funding approval. Funding approval, so do not spend money that you don't have. Make sure you have the money in your account or you know how much you're collecting in terms of membership fees before you confirm all of your vendors and bookings. which goes into number 6. Now that you know you have funding, you can reach out back to those vendors or people or venues and be like, okay, I am ready to confirm this booking. How do you receive payments? And you work out all those details. Number 7, creating a marketing plan. You want to start this early because eventually you will have to submit to CIRMA, coming up with ideas of how do you want to advertise your event. Of course, the event is not public right now, so you want to gather up ideas, know who's doing what, who's creating posters, who's submitting marketing requests. Do we have a banner? Maybe we should get a table to promote for marketing. What about social media? These are all conversations you should have with your exec team and create a plan beforehand. This way, once you get that approval, you can hit the ground running. Okay, number 8, assigning planning roles to executives and/or schedule planning meetings throughout the year. So depending on how your club communicates, you might do it through Discord, WhatsApp. I always find having a meeting with my team, we sit down, discuss in person, we can assign tasks, give everyone time, because I know you're busy with probably part-time jobs, schoolwork. The last thing you want to do when planning an event is rush, because that's how things are missed. Okay, go into number 9. Okay, now, number 9, submit to CIRMA. Notice how far along submit to CIRMA is in this planning task. Because when you submit to CIRMA, you need to know the who, what, when, where, why, and how of your event. If you cannot answer those questions yourself, you are not ready to submit to CIRMA. Us, as event planners, we take on liability, and that when you submit to CIRMA, it covers your bases to make sure that your attendees are safe, what you're putting on is safe, and that you also have a plan of action in case something does go wrong. So with CIRMA, knowing that it has to be done 10 to 21 business days in advance, it's really good to put it in a calendar with your executives so everyone knows, okay, make sure everyone gets their part done before this deadline so the president, vice president can submit to CIRMA through risk management. And allow yourself time to edit these events. There's a reason why this 10 to 21 business day deadline exists. What if you submit and CIRMA comes back and denies your event? And you're like, oh no, what do I do? We have to start marketing this event, but it's been denied for XYZ reasons. Submitting early gives you time to go back, edit your event, talk to your executives to see what you need to do, and then you go from there. Okay, number 10, after CIRMA approval, then you can start marketing your event. Please do not put on social media, text your buddies, oh, this event's happening, until you get that approval. Okay, number 11, purchase or request to rent event supplies. There's resources for you guys to use because A, it won't cost you money. There's a lot of free rentals you could do through the clubs, like a cash box, banner stands. I think there's actually more equipment to come for you guys to use that is free. So utilize those, and then you don't have to worry about storing them. And also thinking about items that, if they do have one-time use, just buy enough for your club, and so you don't have to store it in your locker and then God knows what happens to it afterwards. And I think we're also trying to be more eco-conscious and not waste as much because, as you all know, funding is very limited, and I think as a university we are fortunate to have a lot of funding. I know some other student unions, some clubs, the maximum they get is $200 a year. And so using that money wisely to also put on good events, but also thinking about how this affects the clubs and the community as a whole. Number 12, create an event execution plan. In the event world, we call this a run sheet. So a run sheet is a plan that you and your executives can create that gives a run through about what is happening at the event. I find this very helpful as an event planner, as all of your thoughts are in one document, and just in case something happens, I don't know, your president gets the stomach flu, but they're the ones running the event. The president can easily hand that off to the vice president and be like, hey, here's all the documents, here's everything you need, make sure the event tonight goes well, I'm going to go sleep. So having that all in a document, it also helps for future planning. Let's say your next set of executives want to run the exact same event. Well, lo and behold, you have the document that you made last year that you could pass on to them, and they can make improvements from there. Okay, number 13, review the event plan and assign roles. So making sure everyone knows what they're doing at the event. So take, for example, the run club. Maybe they are hosting a 5K run. Someone is on water duty. Someone is handing out t-shirts. Someone's at the finish line doing tasks. If everyone knows what they're doing at an event, it'll go way more smooth versus someone running around. When you make event plans, you want to make sure that your event plans are very, very detailed, because things happen at events. Things can go wrong. There's emergencies that happen. So you want to make sure that you've thought everything through and that you're ready to execute the event and everyone knows what tasks they're doing. My favorite quote is, "Failure to plan is planning to fail." So the more you plan, the easier it makes your life. Make sure you wrap up everything, save your documents. If you rented things, make sure they go back to where they came from, and make sure that all those tasks are assigned. When planning events, you want to make sure that there is a before, a during, and an after. So, for example, if you rented a banner stand from the clubhouse, you want to make sure you request it before your event, know where it is during your event, and where is it going after your event. These are all things to keep in mind. And then lastly, wrap up any outstanding tasks. So if you need to pay people, send emails, send a thank you email to your attendees, letting them know when the next event is. All things to do post-event. So I put a little diagram here that is also very helpful when planning. Planning an event, a bulk of it happens, like 60% of it. And then before you submit to CIRMA, you get the approval, then you start marketing your event maybe 2 to 3 weeks in advance, and then you execute the event, which is just one day in comparison to maybe weeks and days worth of planning beforehand. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you all so much, and you're all appreciated, and thank you for all the hard work that you do, and I can't wait for next year.